Number 14. Hypatia has read 13 chapters of a 22-chapter book. What percent of the chapters has she read? This is a pretty straightforward problem where we have part to whole. The whole book is 22 chapters. She has only read part of it. And again, what percent of the chapters has she read? So we're looking for a percent here. So we can set our ratio up, part to whole. And the part is 13 chapters over 22 chapters. And they're asking us for the percent. So we're going to have 100 as our second term, and we're going to have x as our first term. Now we can simply use cross multiplication to find the value of x, which again is going to be a percent because it's over 100. I made a mistake on my comma here. I'm not using pencil. I'm using ink, so it will show up better in the video. So that isn't a mistake that you need to point out to me. To isolate the x, I want to divide both sides by 22. My 22's will cancel. 22 divided by 22 is 1. So I have 1 times x, which is simply x left. When I do the division, I find that I have a decimal. So I'm going to round to my nearest whole percent on this one. And I'm going to get approximately 59%. Number 15, a school has 4 quarters. What percent of a school is 7 quarters? Notice here they're asking for our percent again. So we know that we are going to have our x over 100. We know with our word of here, of a school year is going to be our second term. And we are told what that school year is. That school year is 4 quarters. So when we set up our proportion, we use that information to help us set it up correctly. So what percent is going to be x over 100 and of a school year? Of a school year. The school year is 4 quarters. And it said of a school year. That indicator of means that is your whole. So we're going to put the 4 quarters down here and the 7 quarters up here. Now let's talk about this for a minute. This is my whole. This is my whole school year. Up here, this 7 is made up of a whole plus a part. And that part happens to be 3. So this is the part that I'm actually trying to determine. Because if it was just a whole to a whole, this number would be 4. And whole to whole over here, this would be 100. But this number is greater. So I'm actually trying to figure out this part because I know that this part is 4 and that represents my whole. So I'm going to cross multiply. 700 equals 4x. Isolate your x value by dividing both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times x just gives me x. 700 divided by 4 is 175. When I look back up at the problem, I can see that that x is over 100, so this is a percent. And when I look back at my problem again, just to think about this and see if this makes sense as an answer, 7 is almost 2 times the value of 4. If this was an 8, it would be 2 times the value of the whole. 175 is almost 2 times the value of the whole, or 2 times 100. So 175 does make sense for an answer. So the 3 right here, this part is the 75. And when you think about that, and you think about fractions, and you have fraction bars, and you divide them up into 4 parts, this is my whole. And if I want to say what part each of these is, it would be 1/4. And I know that 1/4 of a whole is 25%. So my whole, here are the 4 parts that represent my whole. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that part of the 7. But I know I need 3 more parts. So I can add 1, 2, 3 more, and each of those is also 25%. So when I add these 3 25% to these 4 25%, I'm going to get 175%.